The carburetor creates the proper air-fuel mixture for your trimmer's engine. It also consists of the engine's throttle. Because of the very small openings in the carburetor, it can easily become plugged if any debris gets past the trimmer's air filter or fuel filter. A carburetor can be rebuilt, and it's typically more cost-effective than replacing it. But if you're uncomfortable with rebuilding your carburetor, or maybe it's so badly plugged that it can't be rebuilt, replacing it is an option, and we're going to show you how. Carburetors, as well as many other parts, can be found on our website. Let's get started. I'll begin by removing the air filter cover and the air filter. Before we remove any of the fuel lines from either the carburetor or the fuel tank, you'll want to make sure that you've drained the gas from the fuel tank. Otherwise it will leak, as the fuel in the tank tends to be slightly pressurized. I've already drained the fuel, so we can go ahead and move on. Now I'll remove the two screws that secure each piece of the intake assembly to the engine. There's the air filter base and the air filter bracket. Now I'll remove the throttle cable and the fuel lines from the carburetor. If the intake gasket hasn't already removed itself, like mine did, it's likely stuck to either the back side of the carburetor or up against the isolator. Now I'll replace the carburetor. I'll attach the incoming fuel line, and the fuel return line. Now I'll reinstall the throttle cable. First I'll open up the throttle and thread the cable into the connection on the top of the carburetor. Next, I'll place the nut in its holder on the carburetor and tighten up the secondary nut with a wrench. Now I can reassemble all of the parts in the air intake assembly. I'll insert the screws through the bracket, then the brackets and screws through the air cleaner base, thread the screws through the carburetor, and last I'll install the intake gasket. Now this whole assembly will go back onto the motor.